Chosen one, pause for a moment. Breathe. What you're hearing right now is not random. It's not background noise. It's a call, quiet, yet unmistakably divine. You were meant to hear this. Long before these words found your ears, they were spoken in the unseen, whispered by the Spirit, carried across time, and now placed gently in front of you. God has been reaching for you, not with loud thunder, but with that still, small voice, 1 Kings 19:12. And now that voice is saying something clear and urgent. Come home. Stay calm. The time is now. This isn't fear. This is preparation. Something has been stirring in your soul lately, haven't you felt it? A weight you can't explain, a quiet ache to withdraw from the noise, a holy pull to be still, to disconnect, to realign. That's not anxiety. That's not confusion. That's heaven's direction. You are being called out of distraction and into alignment, called out of chaos and into clarity, called out of fear and into faith, because what's coming next isn't ordinary, and neither are you. God is positioning his chosen ones not randomly, but intentionally. The shaking you feel in the atmosphere, that's spiritual. Doors are shifting, some are closing, some are about to swing open. But you must be in position to walk through them. That's why this moment matters. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Not just still in body, but still in spirit. Calm in the storm, anchored in him. And hear this, calmness is not weakness. Calmness is your strength. It is your spiritual weapon in a loud and shaking world. If you've been wondering whether God has forgotten you, let this settle deep. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. And this moment is part of that forming. Now, as you step forward into this divine call, if your spirit agrees with this word, type Amen in the comments below. Declare it out loud. Let it be your yes to God, your agreement with heaven's timing. And as you stay to the end, let your heart stay open, because we're going to pray together for peace, direction, and the kind of stillness that keeps you aligned when everything else feels unstable. Let's keep going. Chosen one, in this very moment, right now, heaven is leaning in. Not with thunder, not with fire, but with something far more powerful. Presence, quiet, constant, personal. God is speaking, and his voice isn't found in the noise, it's found in your stillness. Feel it in the silence between your breaths, that whisper you've tried to explain, that nudge in your heart. That's not your imagination. That's the creator of the universe drawing close. Yes, the world is loud. Fear rises like floodwaters. Confusion swirls in the air. But even so, God has not moved. He is not shaken, and neither will you be if you anchor your soul in him. Think of Daniel in the lion's den, not screaming, not scrambling, just trusting, surrounded by chaos, yet untouched by it. Daniel 6. That's what peace rooted in God looks like. It's not passive, it's power under control. You may feel pressure mounting, questions unanswered, things shifting faster than you can explain. But hear this clearly, your calmness is not weakness, it's your weapon. It's how you carry the presence of God into every situation. Let your soul become like a steady flame, quiet, unwavering, impossible to extinguish. That's what the world needs from you now. You are not just surviving the storm, you are shining in it. Every moment you choose patience over panic, wisdom over reaction, peace over impulse. You are stepping deeper into your calling. You're being refined, not broken, prepared, not forgotten. Remember the story of Ruth. Her journey was filled with loss and uncertainty. But in her quiet loyalty, in her unwavering trust, God wove a future far greater than she imagined. She didn't chase blessings, she positioned herself to receive them, and through her faithfulness, she became part of the lineage of Christ. Ruth 4:13-17. That's what this season is about. Positioning, preparation, patience. Stay grounded. Keep your spirit calm. Speak less. Listen more. Words have weight. They build or they break. In this season, let your speech be sacred. Let your silence speak trust. You don't need to announce your every move. You don't need to prove anything to the world. The chosen don't chase, they carry. They carry light. They carry peace. They carry the wisdom of God. And they wait for His voice before they act. This is why you're being called home, not just physically, but spiritually. You're being asked to come back to your inner sanctuary, the quiet space where God meets you. Your home becomes a holy place, not just walls and a roof, but a spiritual altar, a place where God can speak clearly and where you are free to hear. This isn't isolation, it's incubation, a hidden season where miracles are forming quietly away from the noise. Think of Noah building the ark not during the flood, but before it, in obedience, in private. People mocked. Time passed. But he stayed faithful, and because of that, he was ready when the rain came. Genesis 6:7. You too are being prepared for something bigger than you can see. Your stillness, your silence, your sacred patience. It's not in vain. It's your positioning for breakthrough. So don't rush. Don't fear the quiet. Don't resist the pause. The seed doesn't rush to bloom. It waits in the soil, trusting the light will come, trusting the roots will hold. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're right on time. Let your patience rise like incense. Let your trust be your offering. God is not done. In fact, He's just beginning. You are being shaped for the miraculous, not by striving, but by surrender. And as the world spins faster, as chaos presses in, stand firm. Speak with intention. Move only when led. Stay close to God, and you will see everything you need is already making its way to you. Let this be your rhythm now. Peace, prayer, purpose. And above all, know this, you are not alone. Not for 1 second. Heaven is closer than you think. What does it really look like to live as one of the chosen? Not just in prayer or reflection, but in the ordinary, often unnoticed moments of everyday life. The moments where faith must meet action, where conviction must shape rhythm. This calling isn't meant to float in abstract spirituality. It's meant to take root to shape how you move through your day, how you speak, how you respond, and how you care for the space around you. Divine alignment is not just felt in worship, it is lived in the details. It begins with intentional simplicity, not isolation, not withdrawal, but a conscious clearing away of the unnecessary. The world wants to fill your mind constantly with news that agitates, voices that provoke, and noise that distracts. But the soul can't hear God clearly when it's overloaded. As it says in Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. So start there. Choose what enters your mind and home. Create gentle boundaries around your time and energy. Designate moments in your morning or evening to sit in stillness, not doing, not planning, just listening. These pauses are not idle, they are where clarity begins. Then, practice the sacred pause, that quiet space between stimulus and response. In conversations, especially when emotions flare or misunderstandings arise, stop, breathe. Let the first wave of emotion rise and pass. As James 1:19 says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." That 1-second pause may be the difference between conflict and peace, between regret and wisdom. Guard your words as if they are seeds, because they are. Not every thought must be spoken. Not every comment deserves your reply. In the face of provocation, silence can be strength. Calm words carry the authority of truth. Rushed ones often carry the weight of regret. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this loving? Is this led by the Spirit or by ego? And then turn inward toward your home. This is not just your physical space, but your spiritual sanctuary. Tend to it. Clear clutter, not for aesthetics, but for peace. Let your home become a soft place for your soul to land, where God can dwell with you in quiet and power. In Ezekiel 43:7, God calls the temple the place of my throne and the place for the soles of my feet. Treat your home as that sacred space where His presence rests. Daily prayer and reflection don't need grandeur. Whispered prayers, eyes closed in the middle of a task, thoughts lifted to heaven while washing dishes or walking. These small touch points build a continuous thread between your heart and God's. Patience, too, is part of this rhythm. It's not passive, it's strong and deliberate. It means resisting the need to rush outcomes or force understanding. Patience looks like letting conversations unfold, allowing people to grow at their own pace, trusting that what's meant for you cannot be missed. In Psalm 37:7, we are reminded, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him," not because nothing is happening, but because everything is being arranged in divine order. Live with kindness, especially when no one sees. The chosen don't serve to be noticed. They serve because love overflows. A gentle response, a quiet act of help, a listening ear. These small gestures carry divine energy. They soften your heart and anchor you in humility, keeping you grounded as God lifts you higher. Stay spiritually aware, but not anxious. Yes, signs and confirmations come sometimes through repetition, sometimes through timing, but don't chase them. God is not hiding. Understanding comes not through striving, but through stillness. Look with open eyes, but lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3-5. Don't forget to care for your body. Your physical self is a temple sacred, designed to support your spirit. When sleep is neglected, when nourishment is poor, when rhythms are chaotic, peace is harder to find. Prioritize rest. Move your body with intention. Breathe deeply. These simple acts are spiritual care. And when the day ends, close it with gratitude and release. Reflect not on what went wrong, but on what was chosen. Well, the moments you held your tongue, the times you waited instead of reacting, the breath you took before responding. These are victories. Thank God for them. Let go of what didn't go as planned. Growth is not perfection, it is alignment over time. These daily practices may seem small, but done consistently, they transform your life. They tune your heart to heaven's rhythm. They prepare you not just to receive the miraculous, but to carry it well. You are not waiting for breakthrough. You are becoming someone who is ready for it. And that readiness, that quiet authority, is what marks the chosen. Chosen one, the miracles approaching your life are not distant dreams. They are real. They are moving toward you even now, quietly but intentionally. You may not see the full picture yet, but heaven sees it clearly. What God has planned for you is not the result of chance or luck. It is the unfolding of a divine design written long before you even knew to ask. These blessings are not generic. They are precise, purposeful, and perfectly timed. They are the answers to silent prayers, the return for seeds you've planted in faith, and the confirmation of a promise spoken over your life when you felt least seen. There is a divine orchestration happening behind the curtain of the visible world. God is weaving together people, places, and moments to bring your life into alignment with His plan. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. You are standing at the edge of a spiritual shift, not because you forced it, but because you've been prepared for it, even when you didn't realize it. Sometimes the preparation was in your pain. Sometimes it was in the patience you practiced while no one else noticed. But every season, especially the ones that felt silent, was part of the shaping. You've endured long nights. You've walked through valleys where the only thing that kept you moving was the quiet whisper of God reminding you, you're not alone. And now, the dawn is breaking. You are not being left behind. You are being lifted up. But this kind of elevation doesn't come through striving. It comes through surrender, through trust, through the willingness to remain grounded and steady, even when life around you feels unstable. The miracle that is coming is not just a change in circumstances, it's a transformation of your inner world. It will require more than surface-level readiness. It will require a posture of deep alignment. Heart, mind, body, and spirit, all tuned to the frequency of God's voice. That's why distractions must fall away. That's why old emotional habits, fear, reactivity, self-doubt can't come with you into what's next. There's no space for panic in the place of promise. This is a time for clarity. Not everything and everyone can walk with you into this new chapter. Even Jesus, before performing certain miracles, would send people out of the room, those who carried doubt, who couldn't perceive the power at work. After He put them all out, He took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with Him and went in where the child was. Mark 5:40. That level of intentional separation is what God is calling you to now, not from a place of pride, but from purpose. The environment where your miracle will manifest must be protected. And now, something holy is happening. The moment you have been preparing for through prayer, through waiting, through unshakable obedience is no longer approaching. It is here. It has arrived not in the thunder of grand announcements, but in the soft unfolding of divine timing. You may not have recognized it yet. It may still be hidden in the ordinary. But miracles are no longer just a hope in the distance. They are already moving through your life. Some are visible. Others are just beneath the surface. But all of them are rooted in the discipline you've cultivated. It may be a restored relationship that seemed beyond repair. It may be an open door you weren't even looking for. It may come in the form of a quiet knowing, an inner peace that wasn't there before. It may be as subtle as a shift in your thoughts, or as dramatic as a breakthrough you've been fasting for. But one thing is sure, nothing is random. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights. James 1:17. Your life is becoming a living testimony of that truth. Do not overlook the subtle. Many of God's greatest moves come softly. When the prophet Elijah expected God in the wind, the earthquake, and the fire, God instead spoke in a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:11-12. In the same way, miracles may emerge not in noise, but in quiet. A small shift, a gentle opening, a moment that seems insignificant but turns everything. Be attentive, be present, be watchful. The blessings arriving may not look like what you imagined, but they will be exactly what you need: a quiet answer in prayer, a conversation that heals years of pain, a moment of clarity that changes the direction of your entire life. This is how heaven works, with precision, not performance. Stand in awe, not anxiety. You've waited, you've endured, you've chosen peace when you could have chosen panic. And now, heaven is responding. But not with fireworks, instead, with favor that weaves into your daily life. With provisions that seem small at first, but reveal themselves as foundations for something greater. The journey hasn't been easy. You've faced real challenges, deep questions, moments of doubt. But every tear watered the ground where these miracles now grow. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. Psalm 126:6. You are returning, not empty, but full. Full of clarity, full of calm, full of divine momentum. God's movements are often sudden, swift shifts that seem to arrive from nowhere. But make no mistake, what seems sudden to you has been long prepared in heaven. Think of Joseph. One morning, he was a forgotten prisoner. By nightfall, he was seated next to Pharaoh, entrusted with the fate of a nation. Genesis 41:14-41. That's how quickly God can turn everything, not by accident, but by design. This is why readiness matters more than anxiety. Readiness isn't frantic. It isn't the fear of missing out. It's the quiet confidence that whatever comes, you're already aligned with God's will. Like the wise virgins who kept oil in their lamps, you are called to be prepared, not panicked for the bridegroom's arrival. Matthew 25:1-13. Oil represents the inner life, the cultivated peace, the spiritual depth that cannot be borrowed in a moment of crisis. It must be built in stillness, over time. And so you wait not passively, but watchfully, not anxiously, but expectantly, like someone standing at the edge of the ocean, watching the waves swell. You don't control the waves. You don't need to, but you are ready when the right one rises. This is the miracle mindset. Calm, open, and prepared for the unexpected ways God chooses to show up. And He will show up. Maybe not how you predicted, maybe not through the people you expected, but He will. And your readiness will allow you not just to witness it, but to receive it fully. Your life is now echoing with the evidence of divine design. Everything that once felt delayed is now being revealed. Not because you pushed, but because you prepared. Not because you forced the outcome, but because you became someone who could sustain the blessing. Hold your peace. Remain steady. Don't race ahead. Don't look back. What is for you is finding you. And it will arrive, clothed in stillness, wrapped in surprise, and marked with heaven's fingerprints. Let every breath you take now be a reminder you are chosen, and the evidence is already unfolding. Divine signs are not fantasy. They are not accidents or random moments of curiosity. They are heaven's way of speaking in a language deeper than words, a language that stirs your spirit before your mind can even understand what is happening. For the chosen, these signs are not rare. They are frequent, intentional, and sacred. But to see them, you must learn to look differently. God often speaks in whispers, and the world is loud. So, to hear Him clearly, you must be still enough to notice the extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. These signs may not always come wrapped in the supernatural. Sometimes it's a dream that lingers far beyond morning, carrying meaning you didn't expect. Sometimes it's a phrase repeated by different people in different places, but at just the right moment. Sometimes it's an internal knowing, a tug in your spirit that says, "Pay attention, this matters." Scripture reminds us that God has always used signs to communicate his direction. When Balaam couldn't perceive the danger ahead, it wasn't a prophet or priest who warned him, it was his donkey, miraculously enabled to speak. Numbers 22, 28, 31. The message: don't dismiss what seems unusual. God speaks through what's available and what gets your attention. For those walking in divine alignment, nothing is meaningless. A delayed appointment, an unexpected meeting, even discomfort can be directional. The chosen must live with eyes that see beyond surface and hearts trained in discernment. The Holy Spirit does not shout over chaos. He nudges, prompts, and leads with precision. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30-21. The more you honor the subtle, the more heaven reveals. This attentiveness is especially important because transformation is near, not gradual, not theoretical, but real, tangible, and undeniable. You are standing on the edge of something so life-altering. It may feel sudden, but it has not come out of nowhere. Behind the curtain of your life, God has been building, preparing, aligning every detail. It's the way a flower blooms after weeks of unseen growth, or how a child learns in silence before speaking their first word. The shift is not instant in origin, but when it comes, it is irreversible. Think of David. One moment he was tending sheep. The next, he was being anointed by Samuel to be king. 1 Samuel 16:12-13. His life changed in a moment, but that moment was preceded by years of hidden preparation. The pasture was not a punishment. It was a place of refining, where courage, humility, and intimacy with God were forged. Your waiting season has been no less sacred. And now, as the oil of favor begins to flow, you will see why the waiting was necessary. Expect the transformation to begin with disruption, not because God intends to harm, but because divine rearrangement often looks like discomfort before it becomes clarity. What seems like a setback may be the shaking that loosens what no longer serves you. These minor tremors, unexpected cancellations, emotional restlessness, endings that feel sudden, are signs of what's being cleared to make room. Every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. John 15:2. The pruning may sting, but it is preparation for overflow. Obstacles are being removed, not because you fought your way through, but because you remained faithful under pressure. Doors that once resisted are opening. Barriers that once felt immovable are dissolving. Sometimes silently, sometimes swiftly, but always strategically. You are not stuck, you are being released. God is not just moving things for you, he is also moving things within you so you can carry the weight of what's coming. Think of a stone path covered in thorns and fallen branches. At first, it looks impassable. But then, slowly and surely, a gardener arrives, one who knows exactly where to place each step, what to remove, and how to make the path clear. That is what's happening in your life. You are being given a clean path, not only to walk forward, but to run with endurance. And as Hebrews 12:1 says, "Let us throw off everything that hinders, and run with perseverance the race marked out for us." In the midst of this, don't overlook what seems small. Not all blessings come loudly. Some arrive tucked within daily life, waiting for your awareness to recognize them. A word from a friend that shifts your mindset. A quiet moment of peace after days of restlessness. A sudden inner release that you can't explain. These are miracles too. The chosen don't just witness the spectacular, They honor the subtle. Gratitude sharpens your perception. When you begin to thank God for what feels small, you'll begin to see that nothing is truly small. The unexpected check, the deep sleep after nights of anxiety, the new opportunity that aligns perfectly with your gifts. These are not random, they are divine fingerprints. Hidden blessings often arrive disguised in ordinary clothing. A phone call, a conversation, even a delay at the right moment. All of them are invitations to trust, to notice, and to respond. Picture a treasure buried in a field. Only those who recognize its value will dig. Only those who dig will find it. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Matthew 13:44. The message is clear. True blessings may not be obvious at first glance, but for those with eyes to see, they are life-changing. Stay open, stay sensitive, not just to the miraculous, but to the mundane, because in God's hands, they are the same. Every moment, every shift, every breakthrough, loud or quiet, is evidence that your story is being divinely authored. And as this chapter unfolds, what you once called delay will now be seen as design. What you thought was silence was strategy. What felt hidden was never forgotten. The signs are all around you. You were never waiting for permission. You were being prepared to receive. As your spiritual awareness sharpens and your path becomes clearer, there is something essential you must understand. God's protection is not occasional, it is continual, invisible, and unshakable. Though the world may tremble with threats and uncertainty, you are surrounded by divine security that no human force can penetrate. Like the pillar of cloud that led the Israelites by day and the fire that guarded them by night, Exodus 13:21-22, God's presence covers you, guiding, shielding, and standing between you and every unseen danger. You are not just surviving, you are safeguarded with purpose. This sacred covering isn't passive. It is alive, responding to your faith, your stillness, and your obedience. When you walk in trust rather than fear, you allow this spiritual shield to operate in full force. Fear loses its grip. Confusion loses its voice. Every step becomes steadier because you know you're being led. And though challenges will still come, they hold no true power. Their force is broken before they reach you. Those who attempt to harm you, whether through opposition, envy, or deceit, are not your burden to confront. God's justice is not loud, but it is exact. As Psalm 91:8 declares, "You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked." You don't need to retaliate. The divine hand clears the path for you, just as he parted the waters for Moses. Every delay, every block, every force working against your growth will be removed not by striving, but by divine authority. You only need to stay aligned. And in this clearing comes overflow. Blessings that once felt delayed are now gathering like rain-swollen rivers. Opportunities may arrive suddenly: financial provision, career breakthroughs, new influence. These aren't coincidences, they're responses to your endurance. But abundance, when it comes, requires maturity. Like Joseph rising from prison to power, your handling of the blessing determines its longevity. Walk in wisdom, recognize the disguised doors, respond with humility. At the same time, God is reminding you of the weight of your words. In this season, your speech carries spiritual consequence. Words no longer pass unnoticed. Like a sculptor shaping stone, each word spoken must carry intent. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death. Speak with clarity, and when you're unsure, say nothing." Silence, chosen with wisdom, can be a higher form of strength. Now, something even deeper is stirring a spiritual awakening. You will begin to see what others overlook. A sensitivity to truth will sharpen within you. This is not imagination, it is divine insight. As the fog lifts from your path, the hidden will become visible. Traps will be avoided, blessings will be recognized, decisions will come with clarity. It is as if scales are falling from your eyes, and the direction you once struggled to find is suddenly illuminated. And finally, healing is drawing near, not just in body, but in every fractured place within you. The ache you've carried in silence, the tiredness you couldn't explain, the weariness that clung to your spirit. God is breathing new life into all of it. Your restoration will be sudden, but not shallow. It will reach deep, reviving places that haven't felt joy or peace in years. Like the dry bones in Ezekiel's vision, Ezekiel 37, breath will return to what seemed lifeless. Your strength will rise. Your heart will soften. And your future will begin again, this time with nothing missing and nothing broken. And now, chosen one, as this sacred message draws to a close, let it settle deeply into your spirit. Everything you've walked through, every silence, every pressure, every unseen act of obedience has been part of your preparation. You are not here by accident. You are standing on the threshold of divine fulfillment, shaped by the stillness you honored, refined by the trust you chose when clarity was absent. What awaits you is not merely an answered prayer, but the unfolding of purpose that carries eternal weight. Heaven is aligning moments, relationships, opportunities, and miracles with the exact pace of your becoming. This is not the end, it is the sacred beginning of a new rhythm, where you no longer chase signs, but live as one who sees differently, one who walks with quiet power, one who is not moved by fear, but led by faith. Let your heart remain soft, your steps deliberate, and your ears tuned to the whisper of God. You will not miss what is meant for you. You were never forgotten. You were being formed. And now the unveiling begins. And you protect it through stillness, through peace, through the sacred pause between reaction and response. When your emotions want to take over, when your flesh demands to act fast, the Spirit gently says, "Wait, breathe, listen. Let wisdom rise before you move." In doing so, you honor not just yourself, but the God who is guiding you. You may not realize it, but your body is already responding to this spiritual alignment. As you choose calmness over chaos, trust over tension, your physical strength begins to reflect your spiritual maturity. You wake with more clarity, you speak with more grace, your decisions become more rooted. As Paul wrote to the Thessalonians, "May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ." 1 Thessalonians 5:23. When you are aligned in all three, spirit, soul, and body, you become a vessel through which God can move freely and fully. There are testimonies all around us of people who've lived this out. A woman once shared how, after years of striving and stress, she felt called to a season of radical stillness. She left a job that drained her, silenced the voices of comparison, and began to treat her mornings as sacred. For 6 months, she saw no results, no answers, no open doors. But something within her was being rebuilt, and when the breakthrough came, it wasn't small. It was a complete reordering of her life. A job that aligned with her calling, unexpected financial provision, restored relationships. And through it all, what shocked her most was not the outcome, but how prepared she felt to receive it, because she had already become the person who could carry it well. That is what God is doing in you. He's not just changing what you have, He's changing who you are becoming. And in that becoming, there is no space for panic, only trust. Panic comes when we believe it all depends on us. Trust comes when we remember who holds it all together. He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. Colossians 1:17. Let your life be a reflection of that faith. When tensions rise, when things seem delayed, when others rush and push, you stay rooted. You don't have to shout your confidence, you simply live it. You speak gently. You move with purpose. You wait with expectancy, not anxiety. That posture is powerful. It shifts atmospheres. It silences fear. It invites God's hand to move without resistance. And when challenges arise, and they will, you won't be shaken. You'll face them not as a victim of your circumstances, but as a vessel of divine wisdom. You'll see problems not as punishments, but as pathways. You'll remember that God often hides His greatest works in the places we least expect. Just as Elisha's servant had to have his eyes opened to see the hills full of horses and chariots of fire, 2 Kings 6:17. You too will begin to see that heaven surrounds you, fights for you, and goes ahead of you. The blessing on the horizon is not simply provision, it is purpose. And only those who are patient enough to walk with God through the unseen will stand ready to carry what becomes visible. That's who you are. That's what your stillness proves. That's what your daily discipline affirms. So, rest in it. Breathe deeply in it. Stay grounded in the knowledge that you are being prepared for something eternal. Not just a temporary breakthrough, but a lasting transformation. God is not late. He is precise. And the fullness of what He has for you will arrive exactly when you are most ready to receive it. You are not waiting aimlessly. You are waiting actively, with faith, with focus, and with the strength of someone who knows that their steps are being ordered by the one who never fails. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with His hand. Psalm 37:23-24. And when it all comes together, and it will, you'll look back and realize the waiting was never a delay. It was a sacred preparation. Every quiet day, every surrendered moment, every time you chose calm over control, it was all building you into someone who could carry the weight of the miracle without losing your peace. Because the blessing is not just what you receive, it's who you become in the process. In this season, what God is revealing goes beyond what you do. It reaches into how you see. The instruction being released is not only behavioral, but perceptual. It is not about doing more, but about seeing more clearly. There is a divine invitation to look beneath the surface of your circumstances, to shift your understanding from reaction to revelation. The danger for many is not in the pressure itself, but in misreading what the pressure means. Urgency is not always instruction. Discomfort is not always a sign to move. Sometimes it's a sign to stay still long enough for the deeper work to be completed. You are not being asked to force your way forward. You are being asked to anchor your identity before the pace of life accelerates. This is a sacred pause before the unfolding. A time to settle, not in complacency, but in clarity. The path ahead cannot be sustained through striving. It can only be walked in alignment, and alignment, at its core, is agreement with heaven. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? Amos 3:3. What God is bringing into your life does not require you to prove your worth, defend your position, or explain your process. It requires you to know who you are and whose you are before the doors open. Pressure in this season is not punishment, it is formation. Just as the womb is a place of constriction before new life enters the world, this pressure you feel is producing something holy. The closeness of breakthrough often comes with intensity. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he felt the weight of what was coming, not because he was far from purpose, but because he was closer than ever. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Luke 22:44. That kind of pressure didn't mark failure. It marked fulfillment in process. And so it is with you. Don't flee the pressure. Listen to it. Let it shape your focus. Let it drive you inward, where God speaks, not through noise, but through knowing. This is why calmness has been so deeply emphasized. It is not a passive posture, but a spiritual lens. Calm allows you to see not just what is happening, but why it is happening. It silences the question, "What's wrong?" and replaces it with a better one. What is being rearranged for my good? This season also requires the release of comparison. One of the quietest thieves of peace is the assumption that someone else's pace should be yours. But the chosen path is not synchronized with the world's clocks. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. 2 Peter 3-8. Divine timing does not operate on social timelines. When comparison grows, so does impatience, and when impatience grows, discernment fades. The road God has you on may look slower, but it is deeper, more lasting, and built on foundation rather than illusion. This is the season to redefine what readiness truly means. It does not mean having all the answers or checking off every task. True readiness is revealed in your ability to remain grounded even when clarity has not yet arrived. It is spiritual maturity that says, "I don't know what's next, but I know I'm held." This is the kind of readiness God looks for, not a life without unknowns, but a heart that trusts even in them. You are also being called into detachment, not from love, not from your purpose, but from false urgency. There's a kind of urgency that comes from fear, and it drives people to act prematurely, to speak without clarity, or to grasp for answers that aren't ready to be revealed. But the Spirit of God never rushes. His movements are precise, not panicked. As Elijah learned on the mountain, God was not in the wind, or the earthquake, or the fire. He was in the still small voice, 1 Kings 19:12. That is the voice that leads you now. You must not let the volume of the world drown out the whisper of God. The silence in this season is not absence, it's incubation. It's what happens when something is being formed out of sight before it is revealed in the open. Jesus spent 30 years in quiet before 3 years of public ministry. The miracle of his life was not just in what he did, it was in what he became during the hidden years. And that same hiddenness is shaping you now. The need to be seen, validated, or understood by others is falling away. And as it does, something stronger is rising in its place. Inner authority. A knowing that doesn't need to shout, a peace that doesn't need applause. That is why the message has consistently returned to the idea of being at home. Home is not just a location, it's a state of being. It is the place within where you stop performing and begin resting in your true identity. Home is where you learn that value is not in visibility. It's where alignment is nurtured, far from the rush of outside expectations. And from this rooted place, your next steps will be different. They will not be reactive. They will be precise, anointed, and unmistakably led by the Spirit. Above all, let this truth settle deep within you. Nothing essential is being missed. Delay is not God withholding, it is God arranging. Stillness is not stagnation, it is preparation. Silence is not punishment, it is strategy. What looks slow is often sacred, and what seems still is often the most fertile ground for growth. Just as seeds germinate in darkness before they break the surface, so too is something breaking forth in your life, even now, beneath what you can see. When you understand this, waiting no longer feels like punishment. It feels like alignment. You no longer fear missing out, because you trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. That stillness is your strength. That clarity is your covering. And when the time comes to move, there will be no hesitation. The door will open and your spirit will already be prepared to walk through it, not with fear, but with quiet authority. You are not in limbo, you are in formation. And when what is forming becomes visible, it will carry the weight, depth, and beauty of something built by God Himself. Hold your peace. Protect your calm. You are closer than you think. There is a quiet danger in panic, in anger, in the split-second reactions that come when pressure builds. These responses may feel natural, even justified, but they are often distractions dressed as urgency. They blur our vision and detour us from the spiritual path that was already unfolding. In this sacred season, God is calling His chosen not to fight fire with fire, but to rise above what is reactionary, to embody what is deliberate and grounded. It is a call to respond with clarity, not chaos. With wisdom, not haste. Imagine a master sculptor chiseling marble. One wrong strike in frustration can shatter years of preparation, but steady hands, guided by vision, reveal beauty hidden beneath stone. That's what your life is becoming, a masterpiece, shaped not by force, but by discipline. Emotional control is not suppression, it is surrendering every thought, every feeling, into the hands of the one who knows the end from the beginning. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. Proverbs 16:32. This is not weakness. This is power under divine control. Every breath you take in stillness, every moment you choose not to retaliate, becomes an act of spiritual warfare. You are pushing back darkness, not with noise, but with light. Not with panic, but with poise. And in doing so, you create space for God's plan to unfold without interference. This mission you carry, this identity you've been entrusted with, requires nothing less than vigilance of the heart. Not just watching the world around you, but watching yourself. Observe your own reactions. Are they shaped by fear or by faith? Before we go, I want to pause with you, not just to talk about alignment, but to pray for it. Wherever you are, take a deep breath. Let this moment be sacred. Let this be your space to reconnect, to release, and to receive. Let's pray together. Father in heaven, thank you for the breath in our lungs, for the stillness you provide in a world that often moves too fast. Thank you for every quiet moment that becomes holy when we bring it before you. Today, Lord, we come before you not to ask for more, but to align with what you've already spoken, already prepared, and already begun in us. We surrender all striving. We lay down the urge to control, to predict, to force outcomes. We release the weight of comparison, the anxiety of delay, and the fear that tries to whisper lies in the silence. Because in this stillness, we know you are near. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. We believe this promise, Lord. We cling to it. Help us to live it. Father, strengthen us in the waiting. Teach us to see that every delay is not rejection, but divine redirection.